Illegal immigration is the entry of a person or a group of persons across a country's border in a way that violates the immigration laws of the destination country with the intention to remain in the country. An illegal immigrant is a foreigner who enters the U.S. without an entry or immigrant visa, especially a person who crosses the border by avoiding inspection or who overstays the period of time allowed as a visitor, tourist, or business person. There are many reasons that people might cross the border illegally into another country. Lots of illegal immigrants are looking for a fresh start and to find opportunities and receive rights unavailable to them in their current location. Three main services that the U.S. provides for immigrants are the USCIS, the ICE, and the CBP. The state's priorities of the USCIS are to promote national security, to eliminate immigration case backlogs, and to improve customer services. The ICE is an American federal law enforcement agency under the United States Department of Homeland Security, responsible for identifying, investigating, and dismantling vulnerabilities regarding the nation's border, economic, transportation, and infrastructure security. The CBP is the largest federal law enforcement agency of the United States Department of Homeland Security. It is charged with regulating and facilitating international trade, collecting import duties, and enforcing U.S. regulations including trade, customs, and immigration. The first modern immigration wave occurred between 1609 and 1750. Almost 1.5 million Europeans came to America at this time, a majority of them being from England. They came to America seeking adventure, religious freedom, and to start new economically. The next immigration wave occurred between 1820 and 1870. A majority of immigrants arriving on the East Coast during this second wave were Irish and German. Ireland was suffering from a potato famine, and the Irish people came to America with nothing. Chinese arrived on the West Coast. Many found jobs because of the gold rush in California in 1848 and helped build the Transcontinental Railroad in 1862. Many, if not all, of the immigrants who came to America during this time were treated with contempt, as many American-born people were afraid of the immigrants filling all of the jobs and using up the land. The next immigration wave occurred between 1881 and 1920, and during that time more than 23 million new immigrants from all parts of the world, but mostly from Europe, came to the United States. During this time, restricted U.S. immigration laws kept the numbers of immigrants from Asia very small. Many Americans didn't trust the new immigrants, and this distrust found its way into the government. The U.S. Congress enacted a new series of restricted immigration laws between 1917 and 1924. For example, the Immigration Act of 1917 required immigrants to demonstrate their ability to read and write. Nonetheless, immigrants still came pouring in. In 1965, the United States decided to not limit immigration on nationalities, but rather based on hemispheres. The system permitted 120,000 immigrants per year from the Western Hemisphere and 170 from the Eastern Hemisphere. In 1978, these numbers were replaced by a single worldwide total of 290,000 immigrants per year from all over the world. Due to the Immigration Act of 1990, this number was raised to 700,000 immigrants but was lowered to 675 after a year. In the 1980s and early 1990s, Asians made up about one-third of the immigrants entering America, and Hispanics made about one-half of the number of immigrants. By 2010, 1/10 of all people who resided in the United States were foreign-born. In addition to the approximate 30 million legal immigrants in the country, the U.S. estimated that about 8.7 million immigrants in the country were illegal. Most immigrants, both legal and illegal, were Hispanics from Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central America. Between 1990 and 2000, the Hispanic population in the United States increased 63%. Today, approximately 43.3 million foreign-born people live in the United States. The population includes 20.7 million naturalized U.S. citizens and 22.6 million non-citizens. Unauthorized immigrants are increasingly entering the United States legally and overstaying visas rather than crossing the border. In the first years of Barack Obama's presidency, deportations or removals increased to about 400,000 in the year 2012. On June 23, 2016, the Supreme Court announced that it was equally divided, resulting in the blocking of President Obama's immigration plan. Obama's plan would have shielded as many as 5 million undocumented immigrants from deportation and allowed them to legally work in the United States. The news was an upset to millions of immigrants across the nation. Donald Trump used illegal immigration as a signature issue of his campaign. One of his main promises was to build a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. On June 16th of 2015, he said, "I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me, and I will build them very inexpensively. I will build a great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall." In January of 2017, President Trump shocked America by signing and banning citizens of 7 Muslim countries from entering the U.S. for 90 days and halting admissions of refugees for 120 days. Many Americans protested against this, but Trump held firm, stating that it was for the protection of our country. America accepted 84,995 refugees into the country during the year that ended last September. Due to Syria's civil war, more than 11 million Syrians have been killed or forced to relocate. This has caused millions of refugees to have to move into neighboring countries that have limited resources. This is why it's so important that America opens its borders to those who need. There is some talk that Donald Trump might call for some kind of amnesty during his presidency, but that has not been confirmed. Amnesty for illegal immigrants is defined as a governmental pardon for violating policies related to immigration. Immigration amnesty would include the federal government forgiving individuals for using false documentation such as social security numbers, identification cards, and driver's licenses in order to gain employment in the U.S. and continue to remain in the country. Amnesty would allow illegal immigrants or undocumented aliens to gain permanent residency in the United States.